think we're live. What I need to do is I need to refresh my computer just to make sure that I am indeed live. And it says I'm live, but it's just showing this thumbnail thing right now. So maybe you can see me, maybe you can't, but hi everybody. I'm going to try to monitor all of this stuff via this. Now, why isn't it showing anything? This is so weird. I gotta refresh. I don't know. I don't understand how this works. It says I'm live, but it's doing nothing. Oh, there it is. Oh, I see. It's putting it on YouTube. That's what it's doing. Ah, I was gonna do a Facebook Live, but that's okay. We're gonna do a YouTube Live instead. So now I can see the chat. I can see everything, and I've apologized for the misunderstanding here. Hope you can hear me okay. Hi, everybody. I'm going to try to look over here at my screen where I can see the chat coming through. I don't know how many people will actually watch this, but hello. Thanks for tuning in. If you would like to help out, like the video and leave a comment, I really appreciate it. It helps the channel. There's 15 people watching. That is so cool. Thank you for tuning in. So today I wanted to talk about music programming, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of the hardest things that I've had to try to articulate. It's hard to explain what it is. You know what mixing is. A lot of you are doing it. You're working on it. You're trying different things. You're taking two similar tracks with similar BPM and you're mixing them together. Some of you are very proficient with it. Some of you are still working on it or need work on it. It is my opinion that before you can mix effectively, you first must learn how to program. And all programming really is selecting tracks that kind of go together to achieve an effect. If you're mixing, the effect is mixing the two tracks together. That's the most basic form of programming. If you are mixing for an audience, it goes beyond that. You must have stronger programming skills. So you must be able to figure out what the audience wants to hear and then mix it in a way that they may like or may enhance the songs. That's programming. It's selecting tracks. People do it on Spotify, right? People will pick their favorite songs and put them in their Spotify playlist and play them. Everyone does it. This is not something that's necessarily difficult to do unless you're trying to program for others. That's where it gets tricky. So I think a good exercise is to look at a couple of different examples of programming and think about how you're putting certain songs together. I'm going to glance over here at some of the comments. Let's see. Yeah, Colin doesn't like my audio. Tyler says it's fine. Ian says he likes to think of it as flow or ib. Thank you for tuning in, for all of you tuning in. Yeah, reading the crowd kind of sounds like witchcraft to me. I don't think it's very descriptive either. So let me talk about something that we can all kind of relate to. And that is programming for like a general wedding audience or perhaps a birthday party, some anniversary party, or maybe even a company party kind of thing. First thing that I do when I come into a room, and I don't know if you guys are doing the same thing, but what I do is I kind of look at my demographic and see who they are, and then try to generalize what they may like to hear from music. I may throw out a couple of samples of things that they may enjoy to see what they react to as far as genre and songs go and such. And then from there, I will start playing songs for them. That's programming. I'm looking at not only what songs to play, but how to play them, what order to play them in, to get a desired result. And what you can do, if you're clever, is you can incorporate mixing into your programming. But again, first you must learn to program. On Facebook, there's a group that's been driving me absolutely nuts. It's called Yacht Rock Radio. And those of you who know me know that I dig this genre. I've always liked it. But a lot of people don't understand exactly what it is. So, to give you kind of the Reader's Digest of what I feel like Yacht Rock is, this is music from probably the 70s, early 80s. It's very high production value. It's smooth. It's very well written. And it's relatively up-tempo for the most part. This is not music that's supposed to put you to sleep. This is music that's just supposed to be, a cool song. A lot of people, when they're programming Yacht Rock, they will use tracks that I consider sleepy. Somebody suggested Suddenly by Olivia Newton-John and Cliff Richard. I love the song, but that's a sleepy song. It's well produced, it's well written, it's a beautiful track. It's pretty smooth, but I don't know that I'd call it Yacht Rock. That would be something I'd put in a mellow hits folder. This is music you could definitely go to sleep to. If you were to look at all the Olivia Newton-John songs and try to figure out what best fits this well-produced, smooth, up-tempo vibe without going too rocky or without going too country, there are a lot of other songs you could pick, like Magic, for instance. If you're familiar with that song, that would be a really good one to put in there. Xanadu? No, I think that one's a little too rocky, or it's a little too fast or energetic to be Yacht Rock. Yacht Rock is smooth and chill, not hype and not sleepy. It's somewhere in the middle. And I think that's important when you're programming music, to think about what fits best within the genre you're trying to, play in, no matter what it is. Another one that I can talk about that I've worked with, sometimes you get a gig somewhere and they give you a format to work within. I used to play State Fair a lot, and the stage that I played at, the format they wanted was what they called roots rock. And what roots rock is, and I totally got it when they told me what it was. Roots rock it's rock music with blues and bluegrass influences. So that's Aerosmith, that's Rolling Stones, every crow you can think of, Black Crowes, Sheryl Crow, Counting Crows, Old Crow Medicine Show. It's all within this roots rock category. Even some REO Speedwagon. Would I put the Cars there? No, wouldn't put the Cars there. Would I put Van Halen there? There might be a Van Halen song that I could put there. The one that comes to mind is Finish What You Started. Out of all the Van Halen songs, yeah, I could try to shoehorn some other stuff into this genre, but I think Finish What You Started probably fits best, in my opinion, as a programmer. Again, that's what it's all about. Finding the best choice for what you're trying to achieve. Not just a choice, or not trying to shoehorn a choice into there. The best choice. If you want to go from like a roots rock format into more of a modern rock format, there are transitional songs you can use that will work very well, of course. But if you want to stay within that pocket, I think you need to think about what the best choice would be. And that's just one example of what I'm talking about. It's a black art, guys. You either kind of have it or you don't. You can teach people how to mix, because it's a skill that you can learn, a lot like riding a bicycle. And I'm not trying to marginalize it. However, it's not something that you have to have this great aptitude for, especially with the tools we have available to us today. It's not that hard to achieve. But what is hard to achieve is picking the right tracks to mix. If someone spoon feeds them to you, like gives you the tracks to do, you can probably do a pretty good job at that. There are services out there who actually offer playlists to sell you. There's one group, I don't know, that I'm in, a DJ playlist group, and they're part of the Crate Hackers thing. And that's what the Crate Hackers are trying to do, is program for you. I think as DJs we can program for ourselves. I think that we can figure this out. If you're really a DJ and you really love music, and you're not just a tech who mixes, I think you can figure that out for yourselves. So I've been thinking about trying to do a series of videos on this, but the first thing I really have to do is figure out how to articulate my ideas better. And I don't know how I did in this live stream, but this is just an example of what I'm talking about. I'm going to go to the comments and see if anybody has anything to say about this. There's a lot of stuff in here. Let's see here. The crowd. Let's see. Okay, talking about audio a lot. I like requests early in the night, and it gets harder later in the night, I find. Let's see. I don't think yacht rock exists as a genre in the UK. The music exists, not the genre. Well, the genre exists anywhere. It may not be something that you're hearing about over there. And there's a weird story behind that. It's really stupid. In the early days of YouTube, there was some kind of bizarre video series that had to do with yacht rock, and that's where the term was first coined. And what they were talking about was stuff like Michael McDonald and Kenny Loggins and Hall & Oates, and they were setting him up like it was a gang kind of thing. It was kind of funny. And there was one episode where Jimmy Buffett was trying to infiltrate this yacht rock group of people, and he's totally not yacht rock. I stand by that myself. So they had this like battle with him. It was ridiculous. But if you listen to what they were doing and what like the vibe is of it, again, it's well produced songs. They're well written, and they're very smooth. But they're not sleepy, and they're not hype. It's somewhere in the middle. It's chill music. It's not sleepy. It's not hype. It's chill. That's the best way I can describe it. And a lot of people try to make it too chill, or they make selections that I feel like are a little chill for the genre. Yeah, probably something that... But see, here's the thing, Ian. And this is the beautiful part about music. Just because no one's saying something like yacht rock in the UK, it doesn't mean that you can't be in a situation where you can play it and not address it, but you just know that it's going to work well. I'm thinking about like a garden party, like you may say over there, like a nice garden party for some people who may be a little older. There are a lot of tracks that will qualify to play here. They're not going to put you to sleep. They're not going to make you, trash the place, but they're just perfect in this pocket. And there's songs that people know over there. Like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, let's see, who am I thinking of? Well, Fleetwood Mac would be one. Some of the Fleetwood Mac tracks would definitely be yacht rock, and that was a British band initially. They became an American band, but they were a British band initially. Climax Blues Band. I mean, that's very yachty stuff. That kind of thing. And I know that in the UK, people aren't really, into the older music much. Even the radio doesn't cater to it much, but you could do it. Neither here nor there. If you don't care, that's fine. You don't care. I'm just really here trying to help everybody become better DJs. I'm here to help. I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to tell you what to do or what you should do. I'm only making suggestions. So you can take it or leave it. Any of this stuff, you can take it or leave it. It's all about just trying to grow. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to stay stagnant. It's like, okay, I know what I need to know as a DJ, and I don't need to know any more. I'm not that dude. There's always something to learn. And these are the kind of things that I think about, and I put a lot of thought into. And when I'm programming at an event, I feel like I'm bringing something to the table that is a lot more interesting than maybe what the next DJ is bringing. Or just, I've got my own flavor, and I'm relevant in that regard. There was a time when I could jump around and lead line dances and be a lot more animated. Those days are over. I'm older. I've got physical problems where I can't do that anymore. I have to rely on other superpowers, and one of my superpowers is programming. Another one is InSync, but programming is something that I can do that a lot of people can't. And I feel like I do it better than a lot of people because I got a better understanding of it. And this goes for new music and old music and all kinds of genres. If you're young and you're mixing your EDM tracks and your crowd favorites, and that's what your crowd wants to hear, that's fine, continue to do it. and consider programming to be a little more important though. I think programming is a very valuable skill. And I think we need to think more about it than we do as DJs in general. Mixing is so important, and the equipment you use is so important. Now, what tracks are you selecting? That's important. No matter what type of event you're doing, you got to select the right tracks. Sean, just want to chime in and say that your tutor was back in the early YouTube days. Taught me how to DJ and your music knowledge. Well, thank you. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Um, oh, yeah, the hand may or may not wake up one day, but it doesn't matter. I'm working. I'm dealing with it, you know? It's kind of part of my life now, and it's not cramping my style at all, so I appreciate that. Yeah, it'd be cool if it woke up, but, it can move a little bit. I can do a few things with it, but not much. Regardless, I can still function, which is really good. It's not holding me back on many things. I may need help once in a while. I mean, Cool Hand Scott's in here. He knows. He's helped me out with a few things before. Sometimes I just need help. Sometimes I'm better off just maybe getting out of the way and letting somebody else handle something. Because when I'm doing something, I'm slow. If I ask for help, what I'm really asking you to do is help me, not do for me. And if I ask for help, the last thing I want to hear from anybody is, well, how long is this going to take? I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm slow. I don't have speed on my side. I'm kind of a turtle that way anymore. It takes me time to look at things, figure them out, and do them. And I may need a hand here and there. So if you need me to get out of the way so you can do it because you don't have time, fine, I'll get out of the way. But if I ask for your help, I genuinely want your help. I don't want you to do for me. Kind of regressing a little bit on that one. So I thought I don't care. I'm just not sure I understood. No, it's okay. I mean, some people get it and some people don't. This is not for everybody. But I consider this the next level. Because DJs will think about their equipment and their mix, and they'll have a relatively limited repertoire of what they're mixing. Things that work together, and they have their own rules in their head, and you need to follow these rules, and it needs to be mixed like this, and it needs to, be like that. It needs to be this long or that long or whatever. But the song selection is so important, Ian, to select the songs, the right songs, the best choices. That's really what it's about. You can play anything you want, but to achieve a desired effect, to play the right songs is so important. So if I were to ask you, for instance, just to help you understand this concept of programming, I don't know, let's say that I wanted you to pick a song that best opens the dance floor at a wedding reception where you live. Now you can play any song you want to open the dance floor. Of course you can. Of course you can. And you may have 20 songs in mind that may work. But if you look at those 20 songs and you look at your audience, somewhere within those 20 songs, in your professional opinion, is the best choice. That's programming. And then following it up with the best choice, whether you're staying within that genre that you started with or you're transitioning out of it. What's the best choice? That's programming. And to me, that is much more important than mixing. I've had this argument with my friend Jay, and he's finally starting to kind of see it my way. Not that I'm right, but Jay has put his mixing priorities before his programming priorities. So what he'll do is he'll have a song that's playing, and he'll think, what will mix best with this? Key-wise, BPM-wise, what will sound the coolest to transition from this track to this track? And he'll pick a song that I agree, to mix these two tracks together, they sound absolutely fantastic. Something that he gives me or has given me before, I think, is Taylor Swift's Shake It Off and Hey Ya. I mean, those two songs kind of have the same sort of tempo going on, the same sort of BPM, the same kind of strange drum pattern. But when I'm DJing at a party, how often is there a case where I feel like Hey Ya and Shake It Off will work best next to each other? Not very often. It just doesn't work that way. In fact, when I think of Taylor Swift, I'm thinking about similar artists. I'm thinking about, and that, I know she's in her own thing, but I'm thinking about the young female demographic, the Megan Trainor, the Miley Cyrus kind of things. Maybe even going back a little bit with Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera. Those are any female pop artist, really, any contemporary female pop artist. That's what I'm thinking about. Those are what I feel like work best next to Taylor Swift Shake It Off. Not Hey Ya. They may not have a BPM that even is kind of similar to Shake It Off. The key might be different. There may be a lot of things that are different about it. But it doesn't matter because in my brain, I feel like it's still the best choice. I'm not a slave to the BPM or a slave to the key. I am, however, a slave to the best choice for the audience that's in front of me. That's programming to me. Again, super hard to explain, man. I mean, super hard to explain. But that's where my brain is on it. And again, just because I feel this way doesn't mean you should. Anything I do on this channel, guys, I just really need to pound this home. It's only to help. It's not to dictate to you how it should be. You know, it's only to try to help. Give you guys some ideas and some advice. Stuff that works for me. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. Hopefully I'm provoking some thought anyway. You may not like everything I say, maybe something I say, you know what, that kind of makes sense. Totally cool. I'm not trying to create clones. My daughter, my God, my daughter doesn't vote like me. She doesn't worship like me. But I love her, you know, because I didn't raise my kid to be my clone. And I don't want to create a bunch of clone BSRs out there who think and program and mix and do lighting and sound just like me. I only want to share with you what I've got. You can take it or leave it anytime. I am not, you know, trying to be your dictator on this. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, Shake It Off into Hey Ya, you know, harmonically works incredibly well. You know, when you play around with it, you can do some neat stuff, especially in the breaks. But again, Storm, is that the best choice to play? Is Hey Ya the best choice to play after Shake It Off, or is Shake It Off the best choice to play after Hey Ya? The kind of things you got to think about. Just because they work well together doesn't mean they're the best choice with what you have in front of you. I'm sure there's an instance or two or five or 10 where it is. It's like, oh my God, this is going to work fantastic. And you need that consistency of BPM and key to encourage people to stay on your dance floor. Here's the thing that always bothered me, though. If I've got an audience going absolutely crazy to Hey Ya, and I think that Shake It Off is the best choice to play next, why do I need to beat mix them together? To trick the audience into staying. That's what beat mixing is. That's the tool that we've used for a long time as DJs, way back in the olden days. It was to keep this continuity and consistency going on the dance floor. If I wanted to play Hey Ya and I didn't think they were going to dig Shake It Off, I could mix Hey Ya and Shake It Off together to trick them into staying out for Shake It Off. It's like playing EDM tracks. You play familiar tracks and you play maybe newer tracks. And when you play the newer tracks, to beat mix them in and to do little mashups and stuff helps keep the audience out there because they're already out there for the beat. They don't really notice a change, so they stay. That's a really good tool to use if you're trying to work a song in that may not be the big crowd pleaser. You know, that's beat mixing is a really good way to work it in. But if they're going to love the next song, what do you got to trick them for? And the thing about audiences, if you haven't noticed as a DJ, let's say that you're playing the track and the power goes out, or you accidentally hit the line fader and it goes to dead silence. Do people take notice? Yeah, they do. Even if they weren't paying any attention, the dance floor notices for sure. The people at the table that, oh, something changed. What's going on? And they pay attention. Have you experienced this? I'm sure you have. I have. Many times. It's usually a technical error. Something happens. A mistake was made on my part. And I go to dead silence. And everyone looks at me. Oh, something's different. Think about that human reaction. Now, think about if there's an abrupt change in something else, will they notice? Yeah. So let's go back to Hey Ya and Shake It Off. Let's say that you got a bunch of Swifties in your audience and you're playing Hey Ya and you blend it in, beautifully beat match it into Shake It Off. Will as many people take notice doing it that way than they would if there was an abrupt change? Hey Ya has a cold ending, or you make it cold ending, and then you jump in to Shake It Off. Not necessarily beat mix, just faded and blended. Well, something's different, something changed. Hey, this is my jam, and all the Swifties come out. I think they're going to notice more if you don't beat mix it than if you do. Beat mixing is to keep your crowd on the dance floor. Abrupt changes is to make them notice that something's changed. Maybe you were playing something they didn't like before, and the next song you're going to play is their favorite song. If you beat mix it, they may not notice you change anything. If you abruptly change things or make it more of an unsmooth transition of some kind, they're going to take notice more. These are the kind of tricks that I've been using for a long time, and they work really well. To rotate a dance floor, which is something that's very important to do when you work in bars and clubs. You want to rotate the dance floor because you want people at the bar to drink, and then you want to take them away from the bar to dance, to get thirsty again, and then send people from the dance floor off the dance floor back to the bar to drink. You maximize profits at the establishment by rotating your dance floor. Yeah, Shake It Off Mickey is another one that you can do. Let's see. I did a weird test on you where it went from Shake It Off to On the Floor. Yeah. Let's see. Echo and filter out. You can echo and filter out. You can do all kinds of things. Kind of not my point, though. I'm talking about abrupt changes. I hate effects so much that I don't use them at all. I can't stand echoes. I can't stand horns. Wah, wah, wah. I can't stand sirens. But I'm old school. We didn't have that stuff. We didn't, and I don't need that stuff. So I'm old school. I'm everything that I use, be it virtual DJ or controller or whatever, in my brain I'm still using a set of Technics 1200s and some records. And I have no special effects at all. That's just how I play music. Never had to rely on that stuff, and I think I'm better for it. I don't have to use the tricks, you know. I mean, if you use them, that's fine. For me, it's not something that I would ever be interested in. You can, but there are other types of ways to transition music. Old farts like me appreciate stuff more than young people do. You take stuff for granted. I had to learn how to do this stuff right. I didn't have these little gadgets and doodads to make things happen for me. I had to do it by listening and trying things. Eddie Van Halen, you may know him or who he is or what he has contributed to music. Eddie was famous for finger tapping and making really weird sounds with guitars that people just didn't do in music, you know. And if you wonder why he did all these things, it's not that these things never existed. They totally existed. Finger tapping was a thing. Harmonics on the fretboard to make these weird sounds were things that you did to tune a guitar. Eddie didn't have money for effects. Eddie had a basic guitar and a basic amp. He didn't have any pedals. They couldn't afford that kind of stuff. So Eddie thought to himself, you know, these weird sounds that you can make with a guitar, what if I were to use these weird sounds to make actual music? Like, can I make music with these weird sounds? And he figured out a way to do it. And you got Eddie Van Halen. This is all stuff that existed. He just used it in the way no one had thought of using it before. And it's kind of the poor kid thing. I was a poor kid. I didn't have a lot of money coming up. Didn't have everything to my disposal. Didn't have every record I wanted. You know, even as a DJ, as a young DJ, didn't have every track I wanted. But I had to figure out how to make the tracks that I had work. It was a challenge. It was kind of like running with ankle weights. That you get the tracks that you want, it's taking the ankle weights off, and you're like, phew, and you're running. But that even goes for transitions. And you're playing in front of an audience. And you could have better songs than you have available to you, but you've got to somehow make the songs that you have work. That was kind of my boot camp as a DJ. And I think about that with mixing still today. Not the music, I have all the music I want now. That's not a big deal. But when it comes to mixing the tracks, I still have that beat in my brain. Maybe it's old school, and it definitely is old school. But it serves me well, I guess. I went too long on that. I apologize. Classically trained pianist using the... Yeah, okay. But, and right, but to make it simple, he knew about these sounds, and no one had used them to make music before. That's the Eddie thing. Matthew, you know what, I was going to start calling you Google, because you always have the answer, and I know you Googled it. I know you're always Googling things. You're my Google guy. You're like my kid, same generation. She knows everything, because she's got Google. It's fantastic. Google, my friend. Keep Googling. Hit the brake, slam it in. Yeah, that works too. So I was doing a wedding in June where the couple loves jam bands. So thinking how to do some of the transition. Yeah, you don't always have to mix things. I think that there's so much emphasis put on this. There are things that there's so much emphasis put on in advertising for DJs that don't matter as much as I think they want you to believe they do. Programming is the most important thing. I've talked about scratching before. And I don't know, when was the last time somebody paid you to scratch? Oh, I need a DJ to scratch it. So you don't scratch? Oh, we can't hire you. Oh, man. Scratching is something that, in my world, came out once in a while in the mix, but it wasn't a scratch routine. Scratch routine is a really cool thing to watch if you're into that. But I don't think anybody's going to be getting rich from scratching. I think that scratching is... I don't know. Another friend of mine said they really want to learn how to do it because they really think it's going to be this valuable tool that they're going to bring to, you know, their mobile events. And I said, no, man, I think you're better off thinking about anything other than that. If you want to learn how to scratch, great, do it. But I don't think it's that important, you know? Programming is more important than any of these little tricks and gimmicks. Always more important than your effects, than your beat mixing, than your beat juggling, than any of it. It's all art. It really is all art. And that's not to say that someone can't do some really cool stuff with effects or scratching or mixing or anything else. It's just to say that if you learn how to program really well first and then start thinking about mixing and effects and scratching, I think you're going to be a better DJ in the end. That's my opinion. I think you'll be better for it. A lot of people want to learn all the tricks first, but they don't bother with the programming part, and that's where I think we have a fail. That's where I feel like that people fall behind. But again, my opinion, my thoughts, out of my brain, direct to you, no Google. Just things I've been thinking about. I'd like to do some videos on this, and when I do them, they're going to be a little more organized than this crazy rant. Most of the time, when I put a video together, I don't script it, but I will think about it. Sometimes, even when driving in the car, I'll think about what I want to talk about. If it's a very technical video, I will do an outline, but I don't script anything. I try to go off the hat in this stuff and explain it to people in the way that I would, explain things to people, I guess. I don't know. Try to keep it organic. I'm not reading scripts. I'll turn the camera off, guys. Thank you for tuning in and watching this. If you could find it in your heart to hit the like button, if you have access to it on whatever you're watching, I would really appreciate that. That would help the channel a lot. I see we have 26 people in here and 11 likes. So some of you 14 out there haven't hit the like button. It would be really awesome if you could hit it. I'd really appreciate it. Would never hustle you for dough. Never ask for your money. But I will ask for your likes and comments. That helps. I will take money from channel sponsors. And we have some cool channel sponsors now. We've got Hollywood DJ. We've got Ape is back in the mix. I'm doing stuff for Ape again. And it's more than just a channel sponsorship. I'm working with them on some other levels as well. They've always been good. Pandemic was weird for them. We're back. They got new stuff to show. I've got ideas to share. So they're kind of a channel sponsor as well. There is a third one that may or may not come to realization, I guess, the word I'm looking for. But it's Color Key with Mix Vibes. So I've got some really cool heads that I've been working with, and I've done some videos on these, but I need to get in a really big room to actually demo these things. Something I need to work on probably after Easter. I'll get into the room and I'll do the demo on these. They're really cool heads. And I've been working with the Airstream GMX Bridge to program them. They've got a lot of neat features. They're very bright. They've got glass gobos and steel gobos and a color wheel. So there's 3 wheels on this thing. At any rate, and there's zoom and all kinds of stuff. May do more products from Mixware, who owns Color Key, and they also are the U.S. distributor for like Magma and DeckSaver and Phase, that USB flash drive looking thing that goes on your turntable, and a bunch of other companies. And always got time for more. Anybody who wants to come in and sponsor the channel, they're always my friends. So anyway, that's it. I'll turn the camera off. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys soon. Maybe we'll do videos on this. Maybe we'll just do this live stream. I don't know. We'll see. If it's something you're interested in, let me know in the comment section. Practice and enjoy. And now we gotta figure out how to turn this thing off. I think it's this button here. No, that's pinned to live stream. That's not it. I don't know. Maybe here? Nope. I don't know. I'll figure out how to turn it off eventually. Let's try this one. Yeah, this one will work.